Hi, I'm Pink1402, aka Taylor, and as you can see, I'm in like a newer part of my room. And uh, today I want to talk to you about Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer of Linkin Park, and suicide prevention. I know last Monday, I said I was going to talk about like my favorite TV movie couples. Not TV movie couples, sorry. My favorite movie couples. Well, I thought this would be more appropriate because nowadays, like, uh, more and more people are committing suicide. And this is a very personal topic for me because my grandma's cousin committed suicide. My dad's stepbrother committed suicide. So, like, there have been relatives in my family that have committed suicide, and it's a terrible thing that happens. Like, people commit suicide because they're getting bullied at school and they can't handle. They can't. They commit suicide because they just got back from serving overseas, doing a tour overseas, and they can't PTSD from overseas, or they commit suicide because they the man or woman that they love just broke up with them and they think that they can't live without him and that life has no meaning or purpose without him. Or like there are several factors as to why people commit suicide, but it's a tragedy that people do. And like my grandma's cousin, he committed suicide because I think he had cancer and he didn't want to have to suffer. He wanted to die eventually because I think he had cancer and he just didn't want to suffer any longer than he had to, so he just killed himself. But I don't know like why my dad's stepbrother committed suicide. My dad thinks he knows, but no one really knows. And I found out about Chester Bennington suicide. Found out that he had killed himself on Friday when I was watching TMZ Live. And I was watching it and I was like, what? What he committed suicide? What are you talking about? Like, so I went and got on my computer and I checked on my computer to see if he really had done it, if it was like a joke. I wanted to make sure it was true. Well, it turns out he actually did commit suicide and he did die. And I'm like, what? Because I was like, he was just on Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link. He was just on there with Mike Kyoto, I think is his name. I'm not entirely for sure what his name is. Let me check really quick. Uh, like I think that's what his name is. I'm not entirely for sure. That's his name. I think that name. Mike Shinoda. Sorry, not Mike Kyoto. Mike Shinoda. No, why did I do that? His name was Mike Shinoda. And they were just recorded like a few months ago, like around April, May. Like between March and May of this year, they were on Good Mythical Morning. And he seemed like really happy. But that's the problem because you don't really know. Like, great example is Robin Williams. He was a comedian. He did TV as well. And he was on this very popular TV show. He was on, I don't remember the name of it, but it was him and some other girl. I can't remember her name at the top of my head. I'm blanking. But it was just him and this one girl on the show. And and he was like, the show was like really big hit on ABC. No, it was on CBS. Take that back. It was on CBS. I apologize. And it was this really big hit, and it was only shown during the summer. It was a summer hit, and like it was about to be renewed for a second season, and that's when Robin Williams took his life, and he died, and people were shocked. I know I was shocked by it. I thought it was like some celebrity death hoax. I was like, he didn't die. You're joking. So I Googled it, and it turns out he did die, and it turns out he suffered from depression. Comedians suffer from depression. They hide their depression through comedy. And that's like Chester Bennington. He had depression, and he looked so happy on Good Mythical Morning with Mike Shinoda, and it was like, how could he take his life? He looked so happy. Why did he do it? And it's like it's the ones that are like too happy, that are like that you have to worry about. It's the ones that are just too happy because you don't know you don't know if they have depression or not. It's the ones that hide it that you have to like worry about, because like people can look like they're happy, they can seem like they're happy, but they're not. They might not be happy. They might be dead inside. They might have depression, and they're just faking humility, faking happiness, faking a smile or a laugh, just to make themselves feel better, and not to worry people. And the sad part about Chester dying, like there are two sad parts about him dying. One is he had several kids. He had like, I believe it was like 6 kids, if I'm not mistaken. And his 2 youngest kids were either 5 or 6 years old. They were born in 2011, but no one knows exactly when in 2011, but they were born in 2011. So they were about 5 or 6. They're about 5 or 6. And that's the sad part. You leave 2 young children, 2 young girls behind. You leave them behind. They probably loved you. They probably loved him. And you don't know what their relationship with him was. You don't know if they hated him or if they loved him or not. That's one of the saddest parts. The second sad part about it is he was a musician. He was a lead singer of Linkin Park. He also was in a few other bands. He was a lead singer for a couple of years for Stone Temple Pilots. And it's sad that he died because he was a musician. And like even though he was depressed, music couldn't get him out of his depression. Music couldn't help him. And usually music helps everything. Usually music makes everything better. And music is a language that we all speak. It's the world language. And it's sad when music can't even help you. It's sad when music can't help you. I think it's sad that he passed, because he was 41 years old, and apparently he passed away on what was supposed to. Apparently, he committed suicide on the day that the day of what was supposed to be Chris Cornell's birthday, and that's another sad part about it, was he killed himself because Chris Cornell, who was his friend, killed himself. His friend Chris Cornell killed himself. The lead singer of Soundgarden killed himself in May of this year, towards the end of May of this year, and he felt like he couldn't live without his friend. I don't know why he committed suicide. I don't know why Chester committed suicide, but had something to do with Chris's death. He was already depressed to begin with, and with Chris died, it just made him even more depressed, and he just couldn't take it. I anything about that, I don't know, but they also talked on TMZ Live. They talked with the lead singer of Caesar, who every year he puts on this benefit concert festival to help raise awareness and money for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which I put in the link, put in the description below. I put the number for the National Prevention Hotline and their website. So if you are suicidal, if you are thinking about committing suicide, you can call them. You can go on their website and get help. But he raises awareness for them, and he started this festival because 10 years ago his brother committed suicide, and the guys on TMZ Live, they were asking the lead singer Caesar, like, what steps or what ways are there any ways that people can help their loved ones or their friends who are thinking about committing suicide? What are some ways that they can help them? Are there any ways that they can help them? What are there any steps to preventing suicide? And basically he said no. He said no because you don't know when someone's going to commit suicide. You don't know if they're going to commit suicide. You don't know if they're suicidal. You don't know. And he's like, there's nothing that you can really do to help prevent it because someone's going to do it anyways. It doesn't matter what you do. Someone's still going to try to commit suicide. They're still going to do it. And he's like, he said that when his brother committed suicide, they were in this hotel, staying in this hotel together, and he walked out of the room for like a few minutes, and then he came back, and his brother had jumped out of the window. His brother jumped out of the window of this hotel window, and fell to his death and died. And he didn't know his brother was suicidal. He didn't know that his brother was wanting to kill himself. And that's like my dad's stepbrother. He didn't know, like my dad's other stepbrother and his stepsister, they didn't know that their brother was thinking about killing himself. They didn't know that. My aunt and uncles didn't know that their stepbrother was thinking about killing himself. No one knew but my dad's stepbrother. That was the only person that knew. No one else knew. No one else knew that he was going to kill himself. And like, you don't know when someone's going to kill themselves. You don't know if they're going to kill themselves. You don't know. I mean, I'm just speaking from personal experience with relatives that have committed suicide, and that's what the lead singer Caesar was saying as well. He was saying from personal experience, he didn't know his brother was suicidal, so there's really no way to pinpoint when someone's going to commit suicide. There's no way to pinpoint if someone is suicidal. You just have to talk to them. You have to talk to them. If you're depressed, talk to your friends about it. Talk to your family about it. If you're thinking about committing suicide, talk to someone about it. And I want to say that it's a tragedy that people do, that these people don't live. They don't have a will to live. And that's the sad part about it, is they don't have. And for all of you that are thinking about committing suicide, don't do it. It's not worth it. I want to tell you my story. So, my whole life, I've been bullied. I've been bullied for my looks. I've been bullied for my speech. Bullied for my height, being like too short. And I've been bullied for all those things. And when I was in elementary school, that's when it was like really bad. When I'd get bullied really bad. No one wanted to be my friend. I only had one really good friend, and that was my best friend. That was my best friend, and no one wanted to be my friend except for her. And I didn't really have very many friends, and when elementary school, I met my best friend in elementary school. We went to this one elementary school, second through fifth grade. We didn't go there for pre-K or kindergarten or first grade. We went to a different school. She went to one school and I went to another school. Well, we met each other at this school, and we became fast friends. And I remember being at that school and the kids being so mean, and they were like, when me and my best friend were in the same class, we were in the same class second, third, and fourth grade together. And when we were in that class together, people, if I wasn't, like, during PE, if we were doing like a team like game, if we were playing like kickball or capture the flag, or this other one where you had to where you had like flags in your pocket or in the back, your back of your shorts or your pants, and you had to run and catch their flag, grab their flags. If we were playing that, or playing capture the flag or kickball or something like that, where we had to pick teams, and if I wasn't the team captain or my best friend wasn't the team captain, I would always get picked last, and they would always make sure that me and my best friend weren't on the same team together. And like when me and my best friend weren't in the same class in fifth grade, I always got picked last. I got picked on one time by this one girl. I'm not going to say her name for obvious reasons, but what she did, played kickball, and I played softball as a kid. I played t-ball and softball as a kid. And when you play softball or baseball or t-ball, you're not supposed to stand on any of the bases if you're on the field. If your team is on the field, you have to stand away from the base. Well, the kids in my class didn't know this, and so I was trying to play first base. I wanted to play first base. This girl that was on my team didn't want me playing first base. She said, "No, no, because you can't catch." And I'm like, "I play softball. I know how to catch a ball. Go stand in the outfield." So I ended up staying in the outfield, and it was just a sad time in my life. I'd get bullied because for that, and like in third grade, it was like really bad for me. Our teacher, if we didn't do our reading log, we had to go into her classroom after lunch and sit and stare at the wall for 15 minutes, and then we could go outside for recess. Well, I hardly ever did my reading log because I don't like reading, and so I would sit after lunch, sit in her classroom, stare at the wall for 15 minutes, and I'd go outside and play. Well, my best friend, she'd be playing with these other girls that were in our class, and I would try to join in on what they were playing, but they wouldn't let me play. My best friend would try to let me play, but it just didn't work. Like, it just felt like I felt like an outcast or an outsider, and it was just kind of it was mean, and it was terrible. And like, even when I played softball, I was on this one team, and the coach was kind of bullying me too because I asked him if I could play catcher. Not catcher, be pitcher for this one game. It was during the summer softball league that I was doing, and no one really cares during summer softball if you win or not. It's just something that you do for fun. It's usually spring softball where they care about winning. Well, this coach, all he cared about was winning. And he told me no, that I couldn't pitch because he said, because I'm afraid you're going to hurt someone and I'm afraid we're going to lose. I don't want us to lose. So he would never let me play pitcher. And like a couple of years before that, I was on this one team, and the coach, he kind of bullied me a little bit during our first game that we ever had. I only got to play like 2 innings. I only got to be in it for like 2 innings, and the rest of the time I was sitting on the bench. And I got home because my dad took me to the game because I think my mom was sick. I don't remember why my mom couldn't take me, but my dad took me to the game, and I got back. My mom was like, "Well, how was the game?" And I said I shouldn't have went because I didn't get to. I only got to play for like 2 innings. The rest of the time I was sitting out the whole game. Bullied by coaches sometimes, and so I would get bullied a lot, and I never contemplated suicide because of music. Because I had music in my life to make sure I didn't do it. And then I also had my friends by my side. I had my best friend by my side. And then when I got to middle school, I didn't get bullied. Get a group of guys that were on the basketball team. They were a grade below me, and they would always point to this kid that I had in grade. Point to him, and they'd say he wants to go out with you, and then I'd walk past him, and I'd just ignore him, and then they'd start laughing at me. And I got like bullied by this one girl in 8th grade. She was in 7th grade, and she said I talked too much. She said I talked too much, and it was just kind of, it hurt my feelings, and I tried talking to her about it, and she didn't listen. So it's like and so I got bullied a lot as a kid. I mean, and that's just how it was. But when I would get bullied in middle school and high school, I had another reason to not commit suicide, and that's hold on, I'll be back. I apologize, my phone was ringing. So I'd get bullied as a kid, and what kept me from not committing suicide was not only music, but also my friends, and I also had 2 nieces. And I knew that I had to be there for them. I knew I had to keep on living and to be there to see them have their little moments, like going to school for the first time, seeing them graduate high school, seeing them go off to college and graduate from college, seeing them get married and have kids. I wanted to be there for every little moment. So I made sure not to commit suicide because of them. I've never contemplated it because of them. And what I want to say to anyone that's ever contemplated suicide, don't do it. If you're thinking about committing suicide, try to think of one thing in your life, or maybe multiple things in your life that you're looking forward to. If you have kids, think about your kids and think about like all the little moments that you're gonna miss out on in their life. Try to think about that. Try to think about the little moments in their life in their lives that you're gonna miss out on. If you don't have kids but you have nieces and nephews like I do, I have 2 nieces. Try to think about like the little moments that you're gonna miss out on in their life, whether it be seeing them graduate high school, seeing them get married and have kids. Like, try to think of that. Try to think of like the little things that you're gonna miss out on in your kids' lives, or your nieces and nephews' lives, or if you're an older sibling and you have younger siblings. Try to think about the little moments that you're gonna miss from them, and try to think about like what they would think if you committed suicide. Try to see what they would think, like what they think. Oh, it's sister can. So my older sister can commit suicide. I guess it's all right for me to commit suicide, or my aunt or my uncle committed suicide. I guess it's all right for me to do it. Or my mom or my dad committed suicide. I guess it's all right for me to do it. No. Try to think of that. Try to think of your family. And and also what I would also say is try to set goals for yourself, like whether it be like a short-term goal or a long-term goal. Like if you want to, if you're in school and you're getting bullied and you're thinking about committing suicide, try to set a goal for yourself, saying like, oh, I want to graduate high school. I'm going to graduate high school. I want to graduate high school, and I want to go off to college and graduate from college. Or if you're not, or if you've already graduated college but you still thinking about committing suicide, try to set a goal of like, hey, I want to become this. I want to do this. I want to go to, I want to travel the world. I want to get married and have kids. Try to think of like a goal. Set a goal in mind, whether it be a long-term goal or a short-term goal. And when you've completed that goal, when you've reached that goal, set a new goal. Set a new goal for your life, so that way you have something to look forward to in the future. Always set goals for yourself, because that's the only way that's going to keep you from committing suicide. And just know that like if you're committing suicide because you've lost your mom or you've lost your dad or you've lost a loved one that you cared so deeply about or your friend, just think like you have an Natalie Cole said it best in her song Angel on My Shoulder. She says, I had an angel on my shoulder who was right there. And like she basically what she says in the song is like, I had an angel on my shoulder. On my shoulder. With a plan for me in mind. Must be an angel on my shoulder who is right there all the time. Just saying like when that person dies, like there's no need for you to kill yourself because they're gone. Because now you have an angel on your shoulder. You have someone that's looking out for you, that's watching over you, that's helping you, that's making sure that nothing happens to you. That's helping make sure that nothing happens to you. Always think about that. And you just have to find ways to beat it. And always talk to someone. Like it really does help. It really does help when you talk to someone and you tell them what you're feeling. Like I'm pretty sure those people at the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, I'm pretty sure they've been there before. I'm pretty sure that they've contemplated suicide. That's why they work there. That's why they do it. And they're always on call. There's always someone there to talk to. They're always there 24/7, and they'll answer your call and they'll talk to you. Because you're not alone. You're not alone. There's probably someone out there that's going through the same thing that you're going through right now. And also if you're contemplating suicide because you've had like your life has been bad, your life has been terrible, there's always someone whose life has been worse than yours. There's always someone whose life has been worse than yours. Like there was like when I think about how bad my life has been, it's nothing compared to how bad my grandfather's life was on my mom's side. I mean, he had been through so much in his life, from being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, having heart surgery, having kidney transplant, having skin cancer, having a stroke. Like he went through so much in his life that I think about my life and I think my life's not as bad as his. My life hasn't been as bad as his was. And I just think about that, and I think about this kid that my dad grew up with. This kid lived in my dad's childhood neighborhood. And this kid like had like brain cancer or something. He had like cancer and he was dying. And he him and his family were away on 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 they had went away for this kid's doctor's appointments. Like this kid was having a doctor's appointment out of town. Like it was like far away from Tulsa, where I'm from. And while this kid was dying in the hospital, these group of like these people came into his family's house and robbed this family, but they didn't touch anybody's room except for his room. And I think about his life. I think about what happened with him, and I think my life has been nothing compared to what his life was. I mean, how do you rob a sick, dying person? How do you rob someone like that? And like it's like I try to imagine like if I've had a bad day, if I've had a terrible day, I try to think my day there's probably someone out there whose day has been worse than mine. I try to think positive, try to think more positively. And if you're thinking about committing suicide, don't do it. Don't do it. Just just know that it's kind of a cliche. It's kind of cliche, but One Tree Hill said it best. They said it best in the episode, uh, the school shooting episode. Keith Scott said it best to Jimmy Edwards. It gets better. It gets better. And it truly does. And what I've started doing here since last year, my parents have a whiteboard in their kitchen, and it was meant for my dad to put his schedule on there and put my schedule on the board, but my dad hasn't been doing that. I mean, I have, but my dad hasn't. So it's big enough to where I can put inspirational quotes on there, and that's what I do. I put inspirational quotes on there, and I put like who said this quote, and so that's what I do. I try to have like an inspirational quote. I have like a ton of inspirational quotes on Facebook that I have because I find them so amazing. I just find peace and comfort in knowing and reading those quotes. So always have like always like have like a quote of the day. Have like an inspirational quote of the day that you can look back, like refer to on like throughout the day. That's like when you're thinking about committing suicide, just think, no, this quote says it all. I don't need to do it. Or try having a picture of your kids or your nieces or your nephews or your siblings, your younger siblings, on hand at all times, so that way when you're about to hang yourself or about to pull that trigger or about to catch yourself or about to overdose or any way that you think of committing suicide, you can always look back, you can always look at that those pictures and think, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't leave the ones that I love. I can't leave my little sister. I can't leave my little brother. I can't leave my niece. I can't leave my nephew. I can't leave my kids. Just try to do that. And I wouldn't necessarily say there's hope that comes out of Chester Bennington's death. I wouldn't necessarily say there's like hope that comes out of it. There's like any ray of hope or anything like that comes out of it. But there is kind of a little bit of good that comes out of it because it shows that like we need to talk about suicide. Like we need to start talking about it because we've already lost Robin Williams to suicide. We lost Chris Cornell to suicide. We've lost Chester Bennington to suicide. And it's like we have to talk about it. And so I hope that we can I hope that people can get the help that they need. And like people like my sister, we talked about it a few weeks ago, like about a month ago, when uh, we were talking about mental health, and like doctors don't really know how to deal with mental health patients. They really don't. They kind of put mental health on the back burner. They put depression and anxiety and panic attacks on the back burner, and they basically say, "Oh, it's all in your head." But it's not. It's not in these people's heads. This with Chester Bennington's death, it's helped us realize that we need to talk about suicide. We need to talk about depression. We need to find a way to help people and not put it on the back burner. So if you feel like you need to commit suicide, don't. You don't need to commit suicide. You you need to live. If you're thinking about committing suicide, talk to someone. Call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Call, uh, go on their website. I put the link in the description for their website, and I put the number for their website. Put their number in the description below as well. And just know that there are people out there that are here for you. If you just need someone to listen to your problems, listen to what you have to say. Call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, because there's no reason for you to kill yourself. There's really no reason. No reason whatsoever to kill yourself. You don't need to do it. And like if you're going to commit suicide because your girlfriend broke up with you, or your boyfriend broke up with you, or you and your husband or you and your wife are going through a divorce, and you feel like that's the only person for you, that's the love of your life, and you can't live without him. No, you can live without him. Just know that there are other fish in the sea, and you'll find someone new that will love you for who you are, that will stay with you. You just have to believe. You just have to believe, and you have to just keep on living your life. And you have to know that there is someone out there for you. It may not be the one that you were with. It may not be your wife. It may not be your husband. It may not be your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, but there is always someone out there for you. You just have to believe. So if you are having issues, just call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Go on their website. They have great tools for you to help you out. And they're always there for you. You have someone that's by your side. And always set goals for yourself. Set goals for yourself that you can that you know that you can complete, and that you know you can complete, and then you can turn around and make another new goal and try to complete that goal. Always set goals for yourself. Don't kill yourself for the wrong reasons. If you're in the military and you just got back from doing a tour overseas, contact your commander. Contact your branch of service. If you're in the Marine Corps, contact the Marine Corps. Contact the Navy. If you're in the Air Force, contact the Air Force. If you're in the Coast Guard, contact the Coast Guard. If you're in the Army, contact the Army. Just find someone to contact. Contact that person, and they will get you the help that you need. That's why they're there. They're there to help you. If you have PTSD, go and contact your branch of service. Go and contact them. Contact your commander and see if they can get you the help that you need. If you or contact like the Wounded Warrior Project, contact like any one of these many different organizations that are out there to help the wounded veterans that come home, because they can help. They'll help you find help. They'll help you out. They'll help you get psychiatric help. Help you go to therapy. They'll help you with all of that, because they don't want you to kill yourself. They don't want you to do anything stupid. They don't want you to do that. They want you to live. They want you to live, and they want to help you along the way. So if you're feeling bad, just contact someone. Talk to someone. There's always someone to talk to. And if you're being bullied at school, talk to your parents. Talk to a teacher. Talk to an adult. Like, I know it sounds pretty bad. I know it sounds cliche and kind of bad, and kids don't like talking to their parents about getting bullied, but trust me, it helps. It really does help, because your parents know more than you think they do, and they've probably been bullied too. Like, I know my dad got bullied when he was in school because he was in choir, and my dad's possibly the worst singer on the planet, or if not one of the worst singers on the planet. He does not have a voice for singing, and he knows he doesn't. So that's why I can talk freely about him and talk about how bad his voice is, how bad his singing voice is. But when he was in school, he was in choir, and he got picked on for a singing voice. Kids would always say, "You can't sing. Why are you in here? Like, you can't sing." And they would just bully him on his singing voice. He would get bullied for his looks, and so I know all too well. Like, he knows all too well about bullying, and so if I ever needed someone to talk to about bullying, I can always go and talk to him about it, because I know that he'll understand what I'm going through. Your parents know more than you think they do. They know. They've probably been there before too. They've probably been bullied before too. So just talk to them, because they can help you. They can help you. Maybe they can get you transferred to a new school, or they can talk to the bully's parents, or whoever the bully is living with. They can talk to them. They can talk to the bully's parents, or whoever they're living with, and maybe get the problem solved. I mean, that's all you have to do, is just talk to someone. Well, I have one last thing I want to say about Chester Bennington before I end the stream. His death was a tragedy. It was sad, and if you don't know who Chester Bennington is, then all I can say is just pray for his family and his friends and his fans. But if you knew who he was, and you loved listening to his music, you loved listening to Linkin Park, blast his music, and keep his memory alive. Keep his music and his memory alive. I've been listening to his song Numb. I've been listening to their song Numb, their songs Numb, Alien, Crawling, what was the other one? I can't remember its name. Something. Oh, I don't remember the name of the song, but it was Numb, Alien, Crawling. Hold on, let me check, because I'm really one step closer. Sorry, one step closer. I've been listening to that song a lot. So I've been listening to those songs a lot because my sister I grew up listening to Linkin Park because of my sister. I started getting into their music. My sister was a huge fan of theirs until they came out with New Divide, and she's not into them as much as she used to be. But I listen to their music, and I keep his memory alive, and I keep his music alive. So that's all I can say about that. Uh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And next week I will do the movie Couples. I just wanted to get this out of the way because I felt like it was an important topic to talk about. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.